What's up? This is how to make a crazy drop like the one on the intro to Boy. So this is a lot, obviously. So I'm gonna do my best to break it down into sections. So the main thing that is basically like controlling the whole song is this stack of chords and kick. And before I talk about anything else, I've got this kick, I've got this mixer side chained to this insert 3, and insert 3 has all of these like chords and leads, all the melody sounds here. And then in Fruity Limiter, I'm picking the kick is the sidechain source, threshold all the way down, ratio, just tweak this to your liking, and then same with the release. I've got the release set so it's the exact same length as the kick. So basically what that does is mute the chords while the kick is playing, which gives it like that powerful pulse sound. So for the first sound of the stack, we've got this just simple respace that I made, square sub, no effects, just on the EQ, I'm cutting out the bass and some of this treble, and then what I'm doing is adding this other sub, which I did not make, which this is like my favorite sub, and those two layered together make like this super fat bass sound. Then for the first chord stack, I've got this other preset that I made, literally 2 voices of unison, a little bit of detune, but what I'm doing to get this like fat sound, like they kind of sound like white noise, like they're kind of broken. What I'm doing is selecting Chaos 2 as a like pitch modulator. Then you go to the Chaos, set the rate all the way up, and I'll go ahead and turn it down and then turn it up as it's playing and you'll get what it does. So it's basically just super fast with this bipolar making the pitch just do like that. And as for the chords themselves, you just want to use a lot of notes really close together to get like that super thick sound. Just have like the open fifth at the bottom and then fill in going up. Next, I have this lead, which is not really similar, or it's similar to the one on this song, just not as like worn. And I've got a really long slide so that I can do like these little pitch bend sounding things in the pattern. And then just a square and a saw, LFO on the fine pitch to make it wiggle, bit of hyper, a lot of delay, washed out reverb, and then a filter just cutting what it doesn't need. Then I've got more chord stacks, and what I'm doing with these is just using different voices and adding hyper for size. This one I put a multi-band compressor to get more of that high end. Then this one is basically just a super square, same thing, the square waves, bit of hyper, bit of reverb, and it's all just like copy paste the same pattern. You just want to make like as many different wavetables as you can. And then this one just got square and a saw, white noise, and then using a flanger and a phaser to get more stereo. So all of those together. Then once I add this kick, which for the kick, these like stutters, I'm using 3rd step and 6 beat because you want them to be like triplet time. Then the last thing for this section is this riser, which I made in Serum, and it is basically just a macro on the coarse pit. The hyper gives it like the unison type sound, and then I'm literally just playing a straight note and then automating the pitch with this macro right here. And then I have a limiter and I'm automating this gain to make it volume fade in. Then last thing, just gotta up and a down. So all of that together, we get this. Alright, so now for this section where it gets a little crazy. So for this, you just want to play with silence, where there should be like a kick or a snare or something. Just leave silence. So right here is where the first snare would come in, and there's nothing right here. So I'm gonna break down the 2 main changes. First is this limiter automation. And what this is on that main bus with all of those chords and leads and everything. I have this limiter with the gain all the way off. And what I'm doing is automating that on to mute them, so that when I actually stop it, there's no like reverb tails or anything. So without it, this first break sounds like this. You hear how there's like a bit of a whoop at the end where they're all fading out, but then once I add it back in, it's like a complete stop instantly. Then this, what was a riser here, I'm now using as a lead, and I've got some unison with a long decay. And I'm basically just making it pitch bend into each note. And that's basically just part of this chord stack now. Now for the sound that is the craziest sound, which is this. So this sound is white noise with a bandpass filter, and basically what this is doing is picking one of the notes, because all white noise is just every frequency being played at once, and it's picking one of them, pulling it way up. And then with this key track, you can make it so now every time you play a key, it moves along here and will actually play a note. And then using that, I just distorted it a lot to give it like a lot more body. Then some chorus to stereo it. Nah, I didn't use that reverb. And then just a bit of filter, keep that like painful high end out. Then for the pattern, I just kind of went crazy. I like using this roll right here, like the half step and then these two notes. So I basically just would write this and then shorten it, maybe Alt Y, reverse it, shorten it even more, and basically just doing that to make an art. But then the most important thing is I've got auto tune on it, and that keeps it in key for this macro, which also changes the note. So I'm using that macro and automating it to do like pitch rolls and dives and stuff. So without that macro, it doesn't sound very good. But then once you add the macro, I'm basically making like a new pattern. And then of course, you gotta have the down sweeps, all of these little background effects, which are also cutting in the moments of silence. So now for where the drums come in, which is where it gets pretty crazy. So I add this snare, which is just a pretty basic EDM snare. And then I add this trap snare and just do a roll following this kick roll. And when you layer that with the kick, so you basically just want to make this as bouncy as humanly possible. So I'm just gonna play the whole kick and snare pattern for this part. And you hear how that's leaving room for you to add fills with the chords. And when I listen to that, I can just hear like all the little places where you could add something. Here I'm adding like stutters with the chords and just overall trying to make it like very silent. A lot of thing happening, silence, a lot of thing happening, like pulling and pushing basically. You always gotta have the fill where you leave the downbeat out, because HOLLIS loves leaving the downbeat out. Then right here is the only real like kind of dubstep fill, I guess. So I've just basically got the respace right here, and then just I put all the chord stacks into one. Then I've got this little bass stab, and then this kind of lasery bass stab. And when you layer all those together, it makes a nice little fill. Really, that's about it. Just gotta make sure you make it fat. As for the mixing, just gonna go down every mixer. They pretty much all just have EQs. And all of the EQs are either taking out high end to leave room or taking out sub because they're adding mud. This one just looking, seeing if it needs a cut. Then the snare, the fundamental was like way too boxy, I guess, so I just turned it down to make it more level with the rest of it. This bass, too much high end. And really it's just EQs. For the master, which is the most important thing, we got soothe, removing with most miss preset. I put this on everything, and when you put it on there, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like it just fixes it. I don't know. I've got a soft clipper with the gain turned down a lot for the ozone, but before the ozone, got another soothe, which is basically taming like the lows and highs. Then the ozone just got the EDM preset, and then I moved this threshold knob, and really that's it. Buy the Patreon, buy presets. DM me. Goodbye.